Surfer.
Get that money for your queen, bitch. Go take a knee, pop a split for a real bitch. Now spin around, twerk on me a little bit. Now show the people why you came here, who you with. Yeah, that's my bottom, bitch.
To walk in here, please come out to play. The queen is looking for a rookie that is down to stay. The game is sold and I told, so sign up today. Don't be playing with my money, bitch. Stay in your place, now check it. I want a thick bitch with some thick hips.
Let's do gymnastics.
Get nasty, cause Big Mama likes a freak bitch.
Don't talk back, get slapped back, we don't wanna hurt the bitch.
Don't bite the hand that feeds you, you be a hungry bitch. I'm slapping ass, gotta jiggle to stay. She already in his pockets, now she target the bank. So much paper, baby, we cutting up in the safe. Fuck around and find out I'm drinking hungry, now pay. Play it, take out your Molly, money falling out my pockets. That ass so fucking big, can't keep it in my wallet. I'm on a queen's salary, big ballin' is my hobby. I'll buy your girl too, put her ass up, she my bottom.
Get that money for your queen, bitch. Don't take a knee, pop a split for a real bitch. Now spin around, twerk on me a little bit. Now show them people why you came here, who you with. Yeah, that's my bottom, bitch.
Warrior Court? I need all ones cause I don't fuck with sluts. I need top-notch bitches for these top-notch riches. Only top-dollar dick to get these top-dollar digits.
They know what it is, pay for everything you touch. If you ain't doing it for me, then you ain't doing it for much.
Confident and pretty, smart and not needy. Tag a trick like graffiti, grant a wish like a genie. Can't be weak and unruly, bitch, a whole fucking goof. You can't command a dick, then truly. What the fuck would you come to me? Got more power than a dollar. Only bosses can follow. My whole crew stay ready. So if you ready, show me now.
Got your Molly, money falling out my pockets. That ass so fucking big, can't keep it in my wallet. I'm on a queen's salary, big ballin' is my hobby. I'll buy your girl too, put her ass up, she my bottom.
Get that money for your queen, bitch. Don't take a knee, pop a split for a real bitch. Now spin around, twerk on me a little bit. Now show them people why you came here, who you with. Yeah, that's my bottom, bitch. Chocolate butter is her name on these streets.
MTC Beats.
Roll with me and live the life of luxury. Chocolate butter is her name on the streets. Bust it down and pop that pussy for some cheese. Roll with me and live the life of luxury.
And my two-seater, ride my diva, patrolling, fish in a big pie, filled with thick thighs and boobies. No love for a dumb fuck, the patrols on my block, we holding. Sit on my handler, bad bitch with handgun, she loyal. Up in the club, got them bottles throwing dubs. Show my homie some goofy love, big pockets money up. Cash in my fuck swirl up, simple nigga pay toll us. Bad bitch can't control us, money grips got a hold on it. Don't talk your shit, it's a dirty game. We drive far, bitch, fuck your name. Shoot a big bitch like Tory Lanez. Ice go hard, piss up your main. Take his bitch, watch it in. They didn't lie, just take it in. Bad bitch haircut, save the sim. Boy, don't lie, pay the sin. Fuck you need player, fuck with this dream player. I will never lay up. Give me that green player, give me that lifesaver. Money, my nature. Don't be a rude boy, put that dick on pause. Show them my paper. Niggas spin away and fuck around, got spend again. That's how we do it.
Chocolate butter is her name on the streets. Bust it down and pop that pussy for some cheese. Roll with me and live the life of luxury. Play now will be clown. Baby boy, you down. Ay. Chocolate butter is her name on the streets. Bust it down and pop that pussy for some cheese. Roll with me and live the life of luxury. Play now will be clown. Baby boy, you down. Ay.
Cameraman, we in here. Be sure the light follow and share. The drama might stop at the end's head. Come to the court, shut your more. Welcome. It's been a while since I've been up here. I almost feel like weird that I'm here again with another all male panel on the Moore Exchange. Um, all right. So tonight's conversation is going to be a little bit uncomfortable. Well, here we have a lot of you hear a lot about a patriarchy. You hear like who it benefits, who it protects, and usually the assumptions is simple: men benefit from it, right? But I want to ask a more specific question tonight, and the question is: did Black men actually benefit from patriarchy after slavery and today? Because if patriarchy is about power, real power, we have to ask who actually benefit from it. Where Black men are positioned as leaders or expected to lead without authority, um, were they protected by a system, or were they navigating outside of it? Tonight, I got an all male panel, different perspectives, different experiences, and I'm gonna need some answers. Okay, I'm clocking T tonight. No talking points because this is more media where opinions clash and truths cut through. Okay, I got some questions for the panel tonight. I hope y'all like my intro because I worked hard on that motherfucker. Okay. Um, I got some men on the panel tonight. I got a couple of questions. I got a lot of questions. This is gonna go deep. We're gonna go deep on this one. I got some questions for the guys. Hopefully they can get through these questions and they can get to the rapid fire questions. I need some yes or no's. I don't need the elaborations on the last part, but let's get through it. First up, let's welcome. Let me get myself off of here. How do I get myself off of here? There we go. There we go. Let's remove this. First up, we got some. What are your names? OLEE, the owl, teacher and philosopher of quantum. I don't know that last word. Onlyisms? Is that onlyisms? I like that word. I'm gonna add that to my vocabulary. And then we got Humble Mystique. He has his cash up there. Make sure y'all donate if y'all like him. Make sure y'all get us, man, to his wisdom. Share the wealth, share the love. This is Black media, brothers and sisters. All right, for the guys that I got up here, I'm gonna let y'all unload this question for me. Can you explain patriarchy? Not a textbook. But what is patriarchy to you?
That's a great question, sis. Patriarchy to me is patriarchy to me is a group of men who hold a certain position of power globally to a certain extent. You see what I'm saying? I look at it in the same sense I look at racism, only with men, right? These people have the power to change the outcomes of other people's lives. And so that's what basically patriarchy is to me.
Okay, before I move along, I want to ask my number one and only lead of the Team Titans, the producer of all this. Is it okay if I drop the invite in the comments?
Of course.
So I don't gotta fish for people.
Yeah,
that's
why
how I
wouldn't
got
you?
up here. It's not in the comments. I got up here through the comments.
She got to do it on her page, though.
I gotta do it.
Oh, got you. I'm sorry.
Yeah. Of course, drop that invite over there.
Oh yeah.
All right, we want to drop that invite over there into more media. So I just wanted to get the definition out the way so we could structure the conversation a little bit more. I wish we had some more guys up here.
As we go
They
in the
on the way. They
conversation,
messaging me now.
as we
One
go into the
person.
conversation, I'm gonna go back and ask them what is patriarchy to them, not as a black man, just in general.
Yeah.
I'm gonna ask you, Mystique, humble.
Mhm.
Can a group be under patriarch but not benefit from it?
Yes.
Is patriarch about power, excess, or perception?
I think patriarchy is about power and access, and I do believe people can be under patriarchy and not benefit from it. Um, just to go to the title, I ain't gonna go too deep in right now, but
Mm-hmm.
I do not think black men benefited from patriarchy. Um, and just for a general overview, really fast. Just for the simple fact that even after slavery and after everything happened, bef- before slavery and after slavery,
Mm-hmm.
black men never had to play the role of the conqueror, so to speak. And so and we never had that role, and we never will get that role. And so,
But you say conquer?
yes, conqueror in the sense of power, as we were saying earlier, right? Power.
Well, power, excess, or perception? Yeah.
Exactly. So during and after the slavery,
Mm-hmm.
melanated men, black men, was never looked at in that light. You see what I'm saying? Um, we were looked at as cattle, cattle, like every other animal. You see what I'm saying? So we never had the
Are,
opportunity
are, are
to look
are
at.
you speaking in context of before slavery? Because this is
No, during slavery.
during slavery.
Yeah,
Well, not before slavery, but before the emancipation. So during slavery, yeah.
yeah, yeah.
So
This is during slavery.
okay, okay. So I'm gonna move on. I'm gonna move on.
Hmm.
I'm gonna push you a little bit. If patriarchy is about male dominance, who exactly were black men dominating after slavery?
That's the point. That's why they didn't benefit from it, because we had nobody to dominate before slavery,
Or
during
after?
slavery, or after slavery. And that's where I love Shahrazad Ali for this, because that was her whole standpoint in the early 80s and late 90s. It was like they keep trying to say, oh, our men need to do this, now men need to do that. But
Yeah.
this is a white man's paradigm they're telling us. Because our men never had to do this. From what? From who? Who did they ever have to go out and kill for us? We was never under that system before this thing called slavery.
Well, that's the power part
Yes,
of what you're
yes.
talking about, but the
Mhm,
access to that power was also, I would say, and this is my opinion, this as a
mhm.
female, was restricted as well. Because you have the power to conquer, you have the power to spread your culture, to spread your seed and things. That's the power part. But the actual have access to that shit is something totally fucking different.
Yeah.
So there is that. All right, all right. I want to go to our new panelist, Dark Side. Welcome back, Dark Side. I see you in a while.
What up? What up? What up?
What's
What's
up, Dark
good?
Side? And let's welcome to the panel Kylie West, back at it again. He's back here. Shout out to you, brother.
I think peace.
He's on mute right now, but shout out to Kylie. I'm gonna go to you, Dark Side. I'm gonna ask you what I asked this wonderful young man up here. And what is patriarchy to you? Not to a black man, just in general.
So it's just a system of like basically where um it basically limits men's value to um how many women that they can conquer, reproduce with, um, as well as what they can provide and protect.
Mm-hmm.
So based off of that system, that's how men are valued. And then on top of that, it's basically In this system, it is basically like the man has to be the head of the household. Otherwise, it's a like the woman is failed and she's devalued, and also the man.
I got a little pushback here for you, brother. Just a little bit. Just a little bit. Are you explaining? I don't got no pushback. I got a clarification because I don't have an opinion. Not yet. I do have opinions, but just not yet. Clarification. Are you kind of giving patriarchy a view, a POV from a female standpoint? Like is patriarchy have to do with the power, or hold on, wait, let me go back to my notes. The power or the access or perception to women, or is this just power in general, access in general, and perception in general, outside of what you can do or what you can't do with a woman?
Yeah, I would say it's in general because it not only deals with women but also other men. Um, so it because the value has to be created by how you compare it to other men in order for you to even you know what I mean, to add value to yourself. But if you like how I view it, I guess you could say I view the system from a womanist standpoint because I am a womanist. So it's I don't. So
Yeah,
yeah,
you
from
should
my
have been
lens,
here for this
it's
intro,
devalued.
baby, because this would have gave you a better insight of what one is trying to define patriarchy. However, that is your definition.
Mm.
I'm going to hold you to it. You do not get to switch up later. Yeah. Kylie West, you want a mic, baby? Where you at? Where you at? Where you at? Kylie. There he go. He was setting up his camera because he just got to show that beautiful face of his. He don't do audio. That's not his thing.
What's good, Morphine?
You heard me talking shit? I was talking heavy
I
shit.
did, but I was too busy trying to get set up for my show and stuff like that. Uh, I don't know if I'm having some audio issues or something, but anyway.
I hear you. We hear you.
No. I'm talking about my end. But
Ooh.
no, I don't know. I don't know what's up with that, but okay. That ain't
Okay.
nothing.
That sounds weird. Now
No,
you sound
no. I don't know what to say. Anyway, let's see here. That's crazy. Let me just check something out. Now, you was gonna ask me some. Oh, okay. Only on
he getting his
my
audio
YouTube
together.
is just fine. Anyway, we ain't gonna even worry about that. I think you asked me. I think you were going around asking questions about
What
patriarchy.
what did he do though? We can't hear you. You sound like a robot right now. But
Well,
you came in crystal clear, and then
yeah.
right when you made mention of the audio problems, it like kicked in literally. But I wasn't looking at the screen to see if you plugged something in or.
Come back.
All right, well, don't mess up.
I'm sure he'll be right back. He got that nice setup over there. He probably just got to plug something in, right? Back to you.
I heard you, sweetheart. I heard you. I don't want to stump the growth of this.
Yeah. Is that better?
Yes.
All right. You're living
Yes.
better now. Gucci sweater now. All right.
I wasn't ready for that.
Patience. Hey, let me just answer this question real quick.
Okay. So, what is
Can you make it a little
huh?
larger? Can you make it larger since you're asking me a question?
Oh, well, go ahead. Go ahead. Go ahead. I'm sorry.
Thank you. I appreciate you. No, what I was gonna say was you were asking about what do I think patriarchy is.
Absolutely.
All right. Well, patriarchy. All right. Well, the definition of patriarchy is woman being in power. So, what about this patriarchy? What's your next question?
Okay. Okay. So, hold on. Wait.
Because I think we all know the definition of patriarchy, but is there a little bit more to that question? Because, like I
Is a
said, I was
patriarchy. What
setting
is
up and stuff like that.
patriarchy in your own opinion, not the What is patriarchy to you?
Well, I'm not saying it on my opinion. I'm talking with, I only speak on facts. The definition or patriarchy is women being in power.
You
Word.
sure you ain't talking about matriarchy?
Actually, I apologize. Actually, it is.
Yeah, because I'm like,
I thought we were
huh?
talking about. I thought we were talking about the matriarchy. It's the patriarchy. Well, I mean, it's just the reverse. Women, just men being an authority figure.
Okay, cool, cool, cool. uh, all right. Can a group be under patriarchy but not benefit from it? Is patriarchy about power, access, or perception?
Well, that's a multi-layered question. I would say all the above. Now, keep in mind, everybody benefits from patriarchy. If there was no patriarchy, the human race would have ceased to exist.
Word. I'm gonna hold you to it. I just want you to know that. All right, all right, all right, all right. I'm gonna hold you to you and Dark Side are being held to your answers. Okay, as we go along with these questionnaires. Okay, okay.
All right.
Segment two. We're going into the history. Segment two is historical reality check. Okay. So this questions is going to be based in reality, but not vibes, not how you. It is not vibes. I'm not going to like define what vibes is, whatever fuck that should mean to you. Okay. All right. So question number one. After slavery, what actual power did black men have in political, economical, or family structure? We could start with humble.
Can you repeat that question, sis? I couldn't even hear you.
Okay. After slavery, hold on, wait, let me turn my mic up a little bit. After slavery, what actual power did black men have? Really, he really want to play his loud ass. Oh, I'm sorry. After slavery, what actual power did black men have in in politics? I'm sorry, in politics, the economy, or
What?
family structure? After slavery, what actual power did black men have in politics, the economy, or the family structure?
None. Um, Black men was under a white Eurocentric patriarchal dominated system. They didn't have any power um other than being one third of a person. You know what I'm saying? So it hey at during slavery and after slavery, they wasn't treated no different.
Okay, I'm gonna go down to Kylie West because you always give me the best answers before I get to dark side. Let's go to Kylie. Give me some good answers.
All right. So back to your question. Can you put me on the big screen, please? So back to your question now.
Okay, my question is: after slavery, what actual power did black men have in politics, the economy, or family structure?
Well, I do want to say that we all know that most black men after emancipation was disenfranchised, with certain laws that were made after the assassination of Lincoln, such as the loitering law. I don't know if y'all are aware of this, but the loitering law came about because, you know, black men who were newly freed and did not want to no longer work for the former master, they were basically practically homeless and being on the street. That was against the law, and that could essentially put you in jail, which will put you in basically essentially a labor camp back in slavery again. But that's neither here nor there. I do want to at least put out the fact that, since the American black man did have to go through a lot after slavery, right? I mean, it's kind of hard to pull yourself out the bootstraps when you don't have no boots, right? But with that being
Mm-hmm.
said, one thing about human beings, especially black men, is that we will still, push on, push forward. I mean, we haven't been on Earth for 50,000 years just to gonna go out with some shit like that. Now, what a lot of people don't know is black people were able to get, official jobs with the government and do a lot for their communities down south. A matter of fact, African American office holders from the end of the Civil War until the 1900s were practically Republican. There were some who were in the Democrat Party, but there are many in the southern states that were Republicans. A matter of fact, um, one of the shift, the reason why black people are not really Republicans is not just because of the civil rights, but it's also the fact that the Klan, which were a Democratic Party, um, actually use um, terrorist tactics to have um, black men who were holding government office to be removed from those offices. You can look at it in North Carolina. Matter of fact, North Carolina had probably the most representation where black people were probably just as equal to white people in their state congress and things and such. If you do your history, so yes, there was. I
So
mean, so
within that state, that black people may have equal rights within state to state, within whatever state that they may have rights, more rights or equal, not more rights, but equal rights as white men at that time.
Mm-hmm.
well, I mean, as far as equal rights, I mean that could be subjective, but I will
Yeah,
say
that's
this.
very
But I will
subjective.
say this to see. But see, the question was originally did black men have any power? They did actually have power and sovereignty over their land and over their communities. Um, Now, of course, things, of course, change, especially with the fact that the KKK was being powered by people who had official power in government office. Because don't y'all ever? Let me ask y'all a question. Did y'all ever, as a kid, see what happened? Like, for example, when Martin Luther King, marched and Lyndon B. Johnson supposedly gave us civil rights. Didn't y'all ever ask yourselves why didn't they round up all the KKK members and arrest all of them? Why are they not in jail?
Mm-hmm.
Why the KKK to this day is still not a terrorist group? That is because the Democrats that are in power, they were just trying to give us empty bag of goods by saying giving us civil rights. Malcolm X has said plenty of times that white people did not have to give us any new laws. All white people had to do was just enforce the laws that are already in place.
There you
So the
go.
civil rights, all the civil rights did was just allow, which was DI and affirmative action. And unfortunately, affirmative action helped out white women primarily. After that, it was Mexican women, Indian women, handicapped people, gay people. What I'm saying? Matter of fact, black women actually counted as a double minority because they're a woman and they're black. So guess what? So with that being said, before the whole civil rights movement, black men had a lot of power in the community, and and guess what? And there was a benefit to the children as well.
Okay, okay. Um, Laurel, where you go? There you go. Hey,
What
welcome,
up? What up?
welcome, Mr. Burns, to the stage or whatever. Listen, have you been listening? Do I gotta reiterate some things?
All right.
So I would like to. I'm not going back. I'm not going back. I swear to goodness, I'm not going back. After slavery, what actual power did black men have in politics, the economy, or the family structure? Can you answer that? And your background is crazy, brother.
All right.
I'm
So you said like right after slavery.
yeah.
So I mean, again, I'm gonna always bring this up about like the Black Republic, right? So right before the end of slavery and through that whole era, black people were already self-autonomous, right? We already had schools, hospitals, department stores, like things of that nature. So you have to understand that after slavery, there was an immense amount of black politicians that ran the South. We ruled the South. So understand that part. Like so, it wasn't the after the slavery part. It was the KKK. It was the invention of the KKK that eventually destroyed the Black Republic in the South. You know what I'm saying? And so we were actually doing pretty damn good. We was actually doing fairly good for ourselves until the event of the KKK, which was an invisible empire, and the government couldn't legally go in there and dismantle us and destroy us legally. So they created an invisible empire, the Ku Klux Klan, to do their domestic terrorism, and that terrorism caused 4 to 6 million black people to leave the upper South, right? And when we let, and they'll tell you like, oh, we left for industrial jobs and all this shit, but where? So the white people, where was the white people working? No, so the white people didn't migrate up there. So just the black. Why did just the blacks migrate up there? Right. It was poor whites down there too. So why they didn't migrate up? Right. That's because the Ku Klux Klan made it easy for them to stay and live. They ran those black people out of there, and then white people came and took over their estates and their properties. So y'all got to remember that we ruled shit right after the Civil War. Before the Civil War, we was already ruling. So, like I said, I think it's a double stack question. Like you have to be like really specific. And like I said, it's really about the invention of the KKK and COINTELPRO and all of those other things that led up to our enemy destruction.
Okay, dark side, come through. After slavery, what actual power did black men have in politics, the economy, or the family structure?
As far as politics, I mean, we had a few politicians. The economy, we only owned, what was it? Probably about less than 1% of the nation's wealth. We only had, at that time, at least we had about 13% of the nation's land. But the main power that we did have, we threw that away, which was over our households. But instead, we chose to leave.
I like how yours was just like real short and sweet and to the point. I like that. Okay, Humble, did you go first, Humble? I think I skipped you and went right to Kylie.
I went first, sister.
You went first? Okay, now I can move to my next question. All right. Where black men I'm sorry, not where. Were black men ever positioned as head of the household in the same way white men were?
Absolutely not.
Yeah, I'm not going to go around the panel. Anybody can answer
Oh,
this.
oh, oh,
Go.
absolutely. Oh, absolutely not. Um, and one of the main reasons we were not is because of the history that we had, that we grew into, right? We have to understand that from the European perspective, their women and children saw their fathers as heroes. They were people to be emulated. They were giants. It was always, your father, your father, your father. Whereas in the black communities, definitely during that time, we have to understand the tragedies that they were just getting over, such as, seeing their fathers being ripped apart by horses, and seeing their fathers being burnt alive, and seeing their fathers, being whipped all day. And these things held a scar in these people's heads. So, in the black family, see, in the white family, it's like, you better say whatever daddy say, you better do. In the black family, it's just like, well, shoot, Pop won't even stand up to the white man. Why he think he about to run? Why he think he about to have so much authority around here? And then we also have the, even later on, when racism was still high in the early 1800s, we have to understand the speech we used to give our children walking out of the doors, right? Hey, watch out for the police. See, the white kids never had, during that time, they never had a checklist leaving the house. Hey, baby, I see you after school, blah, 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 blah. Everything is safe. They knew the community was going to take care of them. But for the black man or the black boy, it was, hey, watch out for the police. Hey, watch out which side of the street you walk on.
So
Hey,
you
watch.
talking about culture? We had like mad culture differences than they did.
Exactly.
Okay.
Exactly.
All right, we could sum that up to culture differences.
Culture differences. Yeah.
Okay. Um, I'm gonna go to our new guy.
Where is he?
What is only
Before we
isms?
get a pushing though, I do want to actually say something about that whole thing about whether black men had had the respect of his family members.
Okay.
Actually, I will say that you mind putting me on the big screen real quick, Miss Morphine? Yeah, I'm gonna put you to work. So
Yeah, I
yeah.
see.
So back to your question. You did mention, well, I believe that of course black men had authority over their household because here's the thing: it doesn't matter whether a black man could get lynched or not. Guess what? It's kind of like there's always a hierarchy, right? Because guess what? Just because Mike Tyson might whoop my ass doesn't mean that everybody else is gonna whoop my ass, right? So guess what? A man was still gonna be a man in his household, whether they had slavery or not. Because I mean, here's the thing: there's always been a time in history, whether it's in European history or in Black history or African history or wherever throughout the diaspora, where somebody had a little bit of authority over you. That didn't mean that you still wasn't a man. You feel me? So with that being said, yes. And here's another thing too. There's a lot of
Hmm.
unwritten stories or untold stories or stories of us having resilience even in the South. So not all black men just took the ass whippings. Not all black women just took the lynchings. There's a lot of stories where many black men died because they decided to take a stand. So and there's also, I don't know if y'all hear about this, but there was a black sheriff during like the '60s and the '70s who was killing KKK members. Did y'all hear about that? If I could find out the name before I get off the stream, I'll let y'all know. But dude, there was a sheriff that all his white deputies quit, and they basically tried to assassinate him. But he basically killed all the KKK members, and he lived to tell the tale about it.
Can I say something really fast
Was that
since
Bass Reeves?
on one day? I just
This
Man,
is
I don't
y'all
remember the
panel.
name,
I'm
brother.
only here
okay.
to
Yeah,
host it.
I think that was Bass
So
Reeves.
I do
That
want
was
to
doing that.
say, I do want
I
to
wish
say
I knew
this,
his
right?
name.
In the context of patriarchy, right? While our people, we can see our people from the late 1700s to the mid 1900s, we could have seen how we built some great stuff, right? But all of that was still done under the patriarchy of the European man, right? Even with all our rebellions, right? That all of that was done under the patriarchy of the European man. Everything we do and did over in this country after the arrival of the European man and slavery and all of that has been under the patriarchy of the European man. White or black men had no place in that patriarchy other than being looked at as cattle like the rest of the black people. We didn't hold no specific power. We didn't have the voice to make no real change because we seen what happened to everything and everybody in our community that actually did do that, right? Let's look at the Martin Luther Kings of the world. Let's look at the Malcolm X's of the world, right? The people who actually went to say, hey, look, let's stand up. We ain't going to take this. They say, hey, yo, you got to get out of here. You see what I'm saying? The WEB, the Boyses of the world, right? The ones that say, yo, I'm going to fight back. They can't keep doing this to us, man. We going to stand up. They got them up out of here. But the brother brought up earlier about the KKK members, right? And so this right here shows the patriarchy system that we lived under back then and that we live under today. When our people, when our black men stood up and say, we ain't going to take no more injustice, all of them got slaughtered. All of them went to jail. There was no justice for none of them. But when the KKK stood up and say, let's get them niggas out of here, there was no repercussions. There was no jail time. So what do that show you right there? Everything favored the white man.
Okay,
And while
okay,
we
okay.
had
We want to let
Well,
the.
I don't know. I think I disagree. Like, I think,
I totally disagree with that.
I think organization favors those who will organize, right? So, a lot of times in our past, we were out communicating. It wasn't that we didn't have enough power. It was that we didn't have enough manpower or forces. It's that we were not communicating with each other as a organic, like as an organic unit, right? Like the same stuff we do now. We got a bunch of different national organizations, but we don't have one central unit that basically runs and dictates them all, that communicate with them all. And it's the same. It was the same problem back then. So we would have battles where we would win, and 25 miles down the road, you didn't know that it was a battle going on down there, and y'all won there. So, but the white man, they had newspapers, they had people riding on horses, giving that information back and forth. So they would tell one like, "Oh, you got a problem with your niggas, or I got a problem with niggas over here." Right? So then they'll turn around like, "Well, I'll come over there and help you with your niggas, and then you come help me with my niggas." Right? So now they're able to mob up, and you ain't going to get help from your neighbors because you're not even communicating with them. So it's a lack of communication, right? And so that right there is gonna break down any
Okay,
society.
I want to get Dark Side's point of view on this before I move on to the next prompt. Dark Side, come through, Dark Side.
Yeah, I'm sorry. I need the question one more time.
All right, I got you, baby. After slavery, what is that? Where we at?
Nah, we
No,
passed
no,
that.
we're at what? Were black men ever positioned as heads of households in the same way that white men were?
By women?
No. I don't want to lead the question with a
Okay.
subject of what you know.
Okay, okay, I get you.
Yeah, yeah. I don't want to
Um,
lead the question with a subject.
I would say yes. Uh, yes. I think we got facts of black women not only putting us as head of household, but even at a time where we didn't even have money or wasn't even having a job, they would even come home and give us our check and allow us to operate as if we was the head of the household and still the provider.
I don't like again. I disagree. I think that we always, even though it has appeared that we have a patriarchal thing going on in Black African American societies, we have matriarchal homes. Most of us have matriarchal homes. Your mother, for the most part, run everything in that house. I mean, yeah, your father's the enforcer. He's the enforcer, but it's honestly mom who is making those rules and regulations when you can and can't go outside and stuff like that. So I mean, yeah, it's the on the outside it's a patriarchy, but the women really rule the house in black society. So I disagree with that.
I mean, that's in everybody's society. Why would you want to rule the house? You're the one who runs the house. You're supposed to be out working.
I
Your job
understand
is to
it. I
protect the
understand it,
house.
but I'm saying our plight was just a little different, only because the black woman wasn't under the same stress that the white woman was under. Right? She didn't have the same problem.
No,
The
she
white
had to
woman didn't
work.
have no work skills, or the black woman always had a job. She always had money coming in.
Yeah, so she was typically operated as what you would call the head of the household, but instead she treated you like you were
Nah,
the head of the household. Because she
I
always
gotta
had a
push back
steady
on
work.
that.
I don't know. I
I
kind of
gotta
think
push
the
back on
black
that
man and black
because
woman ruled the house for the most part
for
equally.
hey, check
Hey,
this out, y'all.
let's get all the
Fortune
sides.
five
Go ahead, Kylie.
check this out. Fortune 500 companies are have a CEO or somebody who is actually on top of the pyramid. But guess what? He might have somebody else under him, like a CFO or a chairman, who's running it while he's not around. So just because the father's not in home and he's the breadwinner, doesn't mean that the ultimate decision doesn't come on him. And I must say, if black women are making all the rules and they're calling the shots in the home, that's a testament to the black man who's accepting that. Because me, I'm not gonna accept any woman telling me what to do.
Well, I mean, with
What do
that
you
being
mean by
said,
telling
Can I
you
pause the
what
show?
to
Can I
do?
pause? Can I pause? Can we pause? So, because it's two new people up here. I know we ain't used to this panel thing, but we're gonna get used to it today. Let's welcome. We got a lady up here. I never had a lady in an all male panel because usually my panel was all men. But we got a lady in the building. And we
A
got
lady in the building, but she ain't on cam. but it's all
So,
good.
so what? So what? So what?
Yeah,
It's
I'm
okay.
gonna
I
I'm gonna
mean,
be
I
teasing.
could be
I'm
the only one
teasing.
on cam today. I mean, I'm good with that. I'm good with that all day.
My fault. I
Um,
came in. Hold up. I'm about
all
to say.
day. So, Queen, welcome. And we
Peace,
got
peace, everyone.
Peace Queen. And we also got JJ, the only 7,000 up here blessing me today. He never comes on my goddamn panels. Thank you,
Yeah,
JJ, for
peace and blessings.
blessing us today.
I didn't even know you had a show, but let me just answer this real quick, and I got to go do a show. Peace to the panel, A1, Titans Debate League, Laurel, and everybody else. Well, that question that you said is, do we live the same way as white men in their house? To be honest, we really don't know because we never lived in their house. So I mean, you know what I mean. We don't know if the white man is running his house like that. The woman could be running. He could be a passive man. So I mean, I
The
can say from
question the question is, were black men ever
Mhm.
positioned as head of household in the same way as white men were?
Well,
That's the
that's what I'm
question.
trying to. Yeah. So what I'm saying is, for example, my grandfather, he was head of our household, and one time his car wasn't working, so he had to ride home with the same guy that worked with him in construction. And when he got home, when the white dude dropped him off, he said, "Damn, your house better than mine." You see what I'm saying? I guess he was expecting less. But what I'm saying is, if we don't live in their household, we can't really answer for sure. But I can go by experience
Mm.
and say that my granddad, he ran the house, but he didn't disrespect grandma, but he ran the house. I don't know what happens when the white guy go home with his family. We don't know that for sure. But if you mean by like money economic wise, well, yeah, of course they had a position. They had like a 260-year head start. I mean, so that's all I want to say on that. Peace to the panel, peace to A1, and thank you. Now, your next show, you let me know, and I'll hang out a little longer. I just had a show schedule, so I appreciate you.
Facts.
I
Hey,
got you. I got you,
I actually
JJ.
agree with his. I actually agree with his actually point because you got to also keep in mind too that people like to say the white man this, the white man that. We're talking about the top tier white man because this is the real man. Most white people do not have the lives as the white people that we tend to bring up or we tend to like highlight. Let's just be real. You feel me? As a matter of fact, that was kind of one of the reasons why racism was so steep in the South was because white men were hating on other black men. So, like I said, that is really definitely a subjective question.
Well, that's why they picked that they kind of picked on us, and that's where that a lot of the terms we use today with who wears the pants in the house and shit like that came on because they were jealous of the relationship that we had with our women. But we allowed that shit and the pressures of wanting to be like everybody else to dictate how we treated our women.
Facts. Because guess what? I'm gonna be real with you. I'll say this here right now, right here, right now. White men are the biggest simps. They are
Oh,
really stuck in the matrix, bro.
word.
Well, so
Word.
my thing is this: like we didn't have the same power in the house as the white man because one, we were not the white man, right? And to be honest with you, a lot of times the woman, the children, it didn't even matter. They had more respect for the white man than they had for the black man. So that it ain't well, they gonna never be the same economy in the house, right? So with that even being said, again, like if you're just solely talking about economics, that was not just the decision of the man, because if that was the case, a lot of those families would have been broke because of them guys was drunk and gambling all the time. So a lot of the houses would have failed if it was not for that woman in the house storing money, saving money, doing things like that. So I mean, I don't know. Maybe y'all don't have those stories in y'all family where grandpa was a gambling addict. Or
I
was
don't. My grandfather was an
I'm
architect.
saying
He built homes.
we got
We were never on a weak
50
shit.
million of us. 50 million of us, and all I'm saying is alcoholism ain't new, right? And gambling ain't new. People used to run numbers and all type of things like that. So that like we gotta be in reality, right?
I
So
refuse to subscribe to that stereotype, man. I
well, I'm
refuse
just
to
saying the
subscribe
condition
to
of the
that.
black home is a multi-complex thing. It's not just like it's one issue thing. You know what I'm saying? So when you look at it, you have to keep in mind all of these other things that was going on.
Oh,
So
a lot
as
of these
far
stories
as
are coming from. A lot of these stories are coming from
Wait,
not
I'd
from the
like
a man
to
themselves, but from
add
these
on as well.
these single
I
black
got you,
women
sis. I'm gonna let you get
who
in.
want to have a patriarchy.
go ahead, sis.
Oh, okay. So,
Go ahead, babe.
for one, I think that just because the society that we live in, like the household was automatically patriarchal, right? Because that's the society that we lived in. And I get that, yeah, because you've seen the woman run the home. Well, that's the job of a woman under a patriarchal system, running the home. Like that's what they were allowed to do. So just because you see women doing a whole bunch of things doesn't mean that they're not still in that type of system. And I don't know who said it, but somebody said, yeah, and the woman would give him the check. Yeah, because it was in the law that women weren't allowed to cash their own checks. You had to give the check to the husband. So when as long as those things are a part of the law, you cannot say that we live in a matriarch society. You can't say that. And Black people have never ran this government. So we've always, Black people, lived in a patriarchal society. And yes, Black men has benefited from that patriarchal society because men benefit from patriarchy. But the issue is that racism is an intersection. So just because you're the leader in your household doesn't mean that white man down the street can't drag you up out that household and hang you on a tree. So it is a very is a very slippery situation that you do have some power, but not as much power as the next person. That's it.
Well, well,
See,
this brings me into wait. She done set up the system for the next question. So the next question is: Did the systems? I'm sorry. I'm gonna start over. Did systems like Jim Crow weaken or reinforce male authority in Black communities? Anybody could go first. Dark
You
side, you
said
already
did
on
it?
here. Go
You
ahead.
said did it reinforce? Um,
Did systems like Jim Crow weaken or reinforce male authority in Black communities?
it it reinforces it. Yeah, I would say it reinforces it because I mean, at the end of the day, even with um, you being segregated, it kind of limits to who you can kind of rely on as well and where you can go. So we kind of
So,
stuck with
so
ourselves.
you think that systems that was against Black people reinforced authority in Black male authority in communities?
Oh, black male authority
Bro, let me say
specifically?
this question one more again for you. Did systems like Jim Crow weaken or reinforce male authority in Black communities?
Yeah, I would still say it. I mean, I don't think it really changed. Yeah, I would say it just didn't change.
Word.
Yeah, we still got the same amount of authority we always had.
Wow. I would definitely say that the Jim Crow system definitely weakened male authority in the Black community. Absolutely did. Because, and here's one of the points that I would like to make that nobody is mad. I'm about to put myself on the big screen. So, here's one of the things that no one has said as of yet. During after slavery, right? They had this vacancy law which enforced employment for Black people. but it was specifically it attacked black women, should I say, because it made it illegal from the time of emancipation to 1972. It made it illegal for black women to have jobs, to not have jobs. I'm sorry, to not have jobs. To be, it made it illegal for black women to be unemployed. So I think the Jim Crow system, on side of being segregated, so that means black men couldn't get jobs because you were black, right? Then the system also made it illegal for black women to be unemployed. So yes, that shit weakened the male authority that is that is um uh, uh patriarchy in any black home. And this is after emancipation, bruh. We didn't even get to the welfare system like most black men like to blame shit on.
The
So
only
no,
reason why I would still say
we
though,
didn't have equality in that situation.
the only reason why I still see it as the same is because like even outside of the outside of the Jim Crow South, like the type of part of the reason why women always the black women had consistent work is because she a lot of times also worked in their homes and worked around their own homes
Bro, we had
and doing
vagrancy
stuff like that.
laws. You need to look up that law. What vagrancy
Yeah,
mean?
but
We had
They
that's
had
the
vagrancy
them. They
Jim
had
Crow
laws.
them for
South
men
though.
too. They had them for
And it
men
was,
too, though.
yes, for men too.
Yeah, and
So
children. Children
yes.
were
Yeah,
subjected to being sold into white families to work on sharecropping plantations. Um, if you know the something if something happened with the mother where she's found unfit, it's still the same type of thing that they do with foster care. How black women are targeted more to get their children taken away in foster care systems for the same type of offenses that white women do. Like we just get judged harsher,
Well,
and they take that.
that's a little outside of the outside of the topic. I mean, I'm sorry, not
I
the
know, I
topic,
know. I was just
but
making the
outside of the question.
example. Yeah, I was just making the example that when it comes to our children, they will demonize us and take them. And they've been doing it from the time that you're talking about with
Yeah.
taking our children and make them working on plantations till now, where you miss a couple of days of school and now they're taking your children and putting them in foster care.
Well, that's more of a today. We're going back in the past because this topic of today is about the past and today. But right now, when we're at the segment, we're talking about the past, and we're talking about Jim Crow weakening or reinforcing male authorities in the black community. And what I'm telling everybody about is that the fact that we have vagrancy laws, so that in itself was was weakening the reinforcement of any male authority in the black community when we're comparing it
yeah, but it
towards
was
when we're comparing it, listen to the end of this, when we're comparing it to white patriarchy or
But
patriarchy,
you
because
shouldn't even have
patriarchy
to
is white
compare
people.
it though. Sheesh. Like the
yeah,
thing is this, we know it took away male authority in the home because it made the men scared. Right? So when your man who's supposed to be standing up for you cannot stand up to a white man that's doing something to you for fear of what may happen to not only himself, but the
Right.
rest of the people in your family or the rest of the men, and to where men have to instead kind of cower, kind of, be humble, kind of back down and do all of this stuff that we don't see as manly. Yes, it makes us, what? You can't even talk to that nigga, but you think we supposed to respect you type shit. It gives people that kind of attitude towards it because they have to do that. But even though it's to it's to protect y'all, right? But at the same time, it makes it where he can't protect you. So that's why it weakens that authority because it takes away the. It don't matter how much money you make. It don't matter what you put in the house. It don't matter all of this. If a white man can come up and violate anybody in your family, and you can't do anything about it for fear of you dying or everybody else dying.
Timotheus, I'm gonna go to you. Welcome to the panel. The one and only average black man show. Shout out to that. Did systems like Jim Crow weaken or reinforce male authority in the black community?
Before I answer, I don't know if y'all can hear me, but shout out to the panel, Morphine, shout out A1, everybody. Thank you for having me on. And did systems like Jim Crow weaken what?
Did it weaken or reinforce male authority?
That's apples and oranges, because Jim Crow was about racism and not about male authority. So Jim Crow was about
Definitely not. Apples and
separating
oranges.
us from them. So and because during Jim Crow, in separating us from them, we had thriving communities that was separate from them. So did we, so the patriarchal portion would be the power, and the people in power at the time when we're talking about Jim Crow and after Reconstruction would be those people, and not us.
It would be
So
the power and the excess. So you had the power. You're talking about the power part when it comes into desegregation, but you're not really attacking the excess part.
access to what? We had our own thriving
Access to
communities.
patriarchy, like access to true patriarchy.
Well, during that time we didn't, because I was trying to get on earlier, but my you can see my son is running behind me right now. But because earlier you guys were talking about after slavery, how did black people benefit? And directly after slavery, there were a lot of black men that had political power. They became local government. They were elected in state government, even federal government.
Hmm.
Wasn't until after Lincoln was assassinated that they snatched all of that from us. So there was a small glimpse in history where we were in positions of power as far as legal power goes. And that's why I was saying in the comments, I was saying patriarchy and skin colorism, because YouTube be about the words, are two different things. Like patriarchy is just men being in power. Now,
Hmm.
men being in power is just men. When you add in the complexion of the men, then it becomes that supremacy, that supremacy thing, which is another argument.
The argument right now. Let me get on cam so people can see. The argument when I'm trying to make is that black patriarchy, or patriarchy for black men, should I say, patriarchy for black men, it looks different for the word or what patriarchy means in general. So right now we're just diving in to some of the different things that may separate, or many people have agreed that racism doesn't implode the thought or the theory how patriarchy is applied in the black community. So there's many opinions on here. However, what I don't want to misconstrue how racism did not play a part in patriarchy for black men. I'm not going to like dismiss that.
Right. If right.
Right.
Get it
So,
ahead.
but as the host, this shit goes into the next pressure question. And I think honey, shout out to the barber loaded, shout out to gang, shout out to the barber loaded. um she got on this perspective of this question I'm about to propose to you guys. And it says, if you couldn't protect, provide, or control your environment, were you ever really operating in patriarchy? That's our pressure question.
It would have been a failed patriarchy.
This is a
That,
free fall. I'm not going around the room.
that's the
Y'all can
point I
speak.
was making earlier, sis. The fact that black
I
men
mean,
never
probably not.
had a the fact that black men
But I do want to
never
say that
had
patriarchy has always
a
looked different
equal
for
chance or
black
even a real chance
men. Even in
to
Africa, it looked different.
operate under
So,
true patriarchy.
um,
Oh, go ahead,
But
honey. Were you speaking?
definitely we had faith in our men, and I
I don't
think
think she can hear
racism
you.
kind of took that
Um,
from us.
Honey, I don't know if
Yeah.
you can hear
can you
me,
say
but
that
say that
again?
over again. She might not can hear you, but she might can hear me. If you can hear me, can you say that over
Oh,
again?
I can't hear you. Oh, I can't hear other people. You want me to leave and
It's
come back
okay.
in?
Okay, I don't feel like knowing what YouTube does. I can hear you, so can you repeat that again?
Oh, I was saying like it's never patriarchy has never looked like that for our people anyway. It's never looked like European patriarchy or anything else. So I think racism, what it did was have us lose faith in our men, right? Um, you know what I'm saying? Like when they had our men tied up, like women used to, follow them. The women followed behind them. They weren't even chained. You know what I'm saying? A lot of times the reasons why it was um like slave revolts were because they didn't chain women, and women would unchain the men and keep going because they had just followed the men that they had chained anyway, right? Because that's how much faith we had and how much loyalty we had to our men. So when racism comes about like that, and it kind of weakens it like that, then it has us lose faith in our men. And that's the reason why it's like we have this distrust that starts to happen between us.
She ate
Well,
with that. I like
patriarchy,
that.
as
Right.
the way you guys are defining it would be strong in the black community, especially during that time and era, because of the strong religious foundation that black people had at that time. They were heavy on the Christianity, and the Christianity back then was the man is the head, the woman is the neck, and all of that crazy stuff that people be talking about now. So in that sense, even though during that, the further we go back, a lot the black household has always had some layer of egalitarianism because black women always had to work. There were, of course, there's exceptions where they had the man that worked at the factory and the economy was different, and working at the factory he could afford to have a housewife. But for the most part, in the black household, I think the patriarchal frame that you guys are using came through the religious framework.
And even that, if I may, that's what I was saying earlier, was the fact that
Go on it.
black men never had a fair chance to operate under any true patriarchy, because any true patriarchy came through the white man, right? The brother Timotheus was just talking about how black people during those times, right, were very religious. Where did that religious text come from? Did it come from other black people, or did it come from the white man? This is the thing we have to understand. You see what I'm saying? During that time, after slavery and during slavery, there was no black man that had the patriarchal power to change anything if the white man didn't want him to. And it's the same today, right? Yeah, we might see skin color and a little bit look a little different today, but nothing moves in this country unless the white man say so. And so that's the just to talk to the topic a little bit. Did black men benefit from patriarchy? Absolutely not. I land my plane right there, sis. I land
Or
my plane
should
right
we, or should we say, in American society, they never had a true black patriarchy in that sense of black men ruling. And when we look at the term, I don't like the modern implication of the term, because they seem to think when men rule, they beat up and abuse women. And in Africa, that was never true. When you look at ancient Kemet, if he had a title, his queen had the exact same title. She was afforded the exact same
That's a
benefits
fact.
that he was. She was treated equally as the primary wife. She was not
Hmm.
abused. She was not property. So
Man, even
the term,
I'm
the implication of the term to me is a little skewed in modern times. It just means rulership of men, and when men rule, it doesn't mean they have to abuse women. That's other people who abuse women, and they also had matriarchal societies where it was nothing but queens in Nubia, and they wasn't no punks neither. They was out there beating up the white man and doing what they had to do on their own,
Hmm.
and they
that's
had the
why
backing
I
and the
brung
same
up
respect of the men.
That's why
We have
earlier
to
I was
understand that.
mentioning the difference between patriarchy and the supremacy portion, because you look at South Africa today, they're absolutely a patriarchal country. And what's going on over there? They kicking the white people out. They snatching the land from the white people. They kicking white people ass, and that's a patriarchy. So it don't have nothing to do with it being white people in rule. It's just men. That's why I was saying that earlier, like making that distinction.
I don't like the fact that you made that distinction because we're talking about patriarchy that's in America, not throughout the world. And once you give that comparison, it muddies what we're talking about. But I'm not going to take that out of the context that what you're saying. I'm just going to hold you to it, just like I did Dark Side and Oleisms. Our next question in segment
Wait, can I
3.
answer to something really quickly? Because I
Go
think
ahead,
that
sis.
um, even though, yeah, and I do agree with the brother that was trying to talk about the intersectionality between the racism and the patriarchy, because under the patriarchy, black men did have a certain type of power and they did enforce that power, right? Because that's why we have schools like Spelman, because they were under the patriarchal ideology of women need to be you know clerks and things like that, and they weren't allowing the women to be lawyers up in Howard, right? So they created Spelman. There's another reason why Lena Walker created the Black National Bank, because black men weren't allowing her to cash her bank statements at their banks, because some men do lead into the patriarchy. That's a part of the reason why there is a black feminist movement within going against the white supremacists, but also going against the chauvinism that was apparent within the black community. So just because you don't have complete power, does you do have some power under being in the patriarchal society that we lived in. That's it.
Right.
I want to correct
That's
sister. Wait a minute. Wait a minute. I want to correct sister. The anything that has to do with you said misogyny and not chauvinism. I would say chauvinism, but not
she said
misogyny. If it's
chauvinism.
I
she
did
said
say
chauvinism.
chauvinism.
She
You
said
did say
chauvinism.
sis.
Yes.
Okay. Okay.
Yeah,
Cool.
and she was cooking because that's what I'm.
She definitely was cooking.
That's but she's reinforcing what I'm saying. Like for example, Madam C.J. Walker, her name wasn't C.J. Walker. That was her husband's name, and because at the time the powers that be made it to where that men still had authority, whether you was black, white,
Mm,
Chinese, or whatever. So she had a business, but she couldn't have a business because it had to be in her husband's name.
But her
yeah,
husband's name came from a white man. So who
that.
authority
Thank
did
you.
she really have? You
But
know,
that's the
like
point I'm making
at
right
that
there.
time, we're not talking about today. In today, right now, we're going to get to today right, in a second. We're talking about in the context back then.
Madam
Back
C.J. Walker
then,
was back
Right.
then.
That
yes,
is the
she's a back
context
then.
of back
That
then.
so back
That
then, back then they didn't have black men didn't have his legacy wasn't his last name. That was a white man's last name at that
right,
time.
That
but
don't have nothing to do
underneath
with the
that,
power
that really
structure.
doesn't have anything to do with like
That was
what
under
he
that
was.
power structure.
Right, but that really doesn't have anything to do with what the brother is talking about, because under their power structure, we are playing to the power structure. So if the power structure is giving me power over somebody else, and I am enforcing that power, then I am playing to the patriarchy because the society gave me the space to do so. The society didn't give the woman the space to play, power games over men, because that
Yes,
wasn't the
they
society.
did. Yes, they did. They absolutely did with the vacancy laws. That trumps all that shit right there.
No, it doesn't, because the
Yes, it
sacrecy
does.
laws. What?
Because
Hold on,
woman
really
and
quick.
white
Hold.
women didn't have to be held to that fucking standard.
Right, but
But
what you're
black
missing
men,
out of the
black
sacrecy
women,
laws,
all these other
right,
different
it's
non-white
all of us.
denominators had to again. So that pit it a difference between the black man and the black woman because of
Right,
that one
but
fucking
the part
law.
that you're missing about the vacancy laws, that is not just about black women. Black
It
men
doesn't
were
have to
undergo.
be. Is
Hold,
that's not
hold
just neither
on.
here or
Let
there,
me finish
sis.
my
We're talking
sentence.
about in this
All right, but
situation,
let
it
me
has to
finish
do
my
with black men.
sentence, though, sis. Let me finish my sentence. If the vagrancy law is passed for men, women, and children, it does not specifically exploit the women because
Yes,
it's
it does.
doing it to all three. The
Yes, it
child
does.
can end up in the plantation, the man can end up in jail, and the woman can end up being forcefully pushed to work in somebody's house. That law is for all of us, not just for the one.
It was used for black women more disproportionately for black men. So for black women, when it came down to our jobs and the jobs they wanted us to do, they made sure we were legally bonded to that shit versus the black man. They didn't give that black man opportunities that they give the black woman at that time. The
Yeah,
black
so
woman
you
was
got
still
locked up
taking
though if you didn't have a
the
job.
black woman now because they still had Asians and other fucking minorities at that time building shit for cheaper fucking labor. So you still gotta add that in, like the Asians,
Yeah,
the
but
fucking
it's illegal for us not to have a job.
it
So
was
if
and
it's
so when
illegal
we're talking
and you
about
got a job, that mean I'm
patriarchy
getting locked
and the
up.
black community and how it affected us, not anyone else, how it affected us. Black men was disproportionately ostracized out of jobs at that time, but black women wasn't.
Yeah, because they wanted them to be domesticated. They wanted them to be
Right.
domestic.
They were sending them to work in the homes to be maids. They weren't going to send grown men into homes to be maids. So where they sent the men was to the chain gang. They sent them to the mines. They sent them to the same railroads that the Asians were building because we were building those too. Right. So what I'm saying is that the destination was different for all of the people in the black community, but it doesn't mean that the oppression was different. We were just going to different places. One would That's why they have that law that says if you got arrested, if you went to jail, you were now a slave, right? They put that there because they made it illegal for men to have jobs. So first I make it illegal for you not to have a job. And then when you don't have a job because I made it hard for you to have a job, then put you in jail. That's putting you back in legal slavery. That's what they were doing to the men. And to the women, they were doing that, but with the white women's households. And with the children, they were doing that with the sharecropping. That's what I'm saying. Like all of us, that was a racist law, not a patriarchy law. That's
This is
all I'm
why I
saying.
say that's why men didn't benefit
But
from that.
she's trying to talk about, yeah, how racism, because y'all keep trying to say that the racist stuff had nothing to do with how men are viewed in homes, how men are viewed in black society. It didn't have anything to do with any of that, and it did. And a lot of the times when the women were fighting back, sometimes it didn't have nothing to do with patriarchy. Like for Sojourner Truth, she was one of the biggest women talking. She wasn't fighting against really patriarchy as much as she was fighting against I'm a fucking woman, I'm a person, I'm not a damn animal. Why do you have me? You know what I'm saying? She was fighting against racism as well. So it does play a big part in our history dealing with how we treat each other and the respect that we're giving each other. And a lot of times when we're talking about the men now picking up on misogynist ways, it's ways taught through that.
It's more chauvinist than, but I feel what you're saying.
Not
All right,
no.
we
We
gonna
get
get
killed.
yeah, like this show is about to hit on some real shit. All right, so I'm gonna go to our segment three because we got two more segments in this shit. All right, so I'm gonna go to segment three. This is like we're gonna go to the modern day benefit or illusion. Um, so the first question: do black men benefit from patriarchy today? Yes or no? In relationships, do black men have more power or less power or just different expectations?
In my opinion, I mean, I guess it's about the same. Yeah, I don't feel no different. Like I don't feel like I've lost any power over a woman. Like I don't even look at it that way. Like I don't think you should be with your woman thinking about power struggles and shit. That shit kind of sound weird.
Can I say something to you, Dark Side? I don't think patriarchy has anything to do with gender roles or how men deal with women. I think patriarchy has to do with the things that I said before the show. I don't know if you guys is privy to what I said before. We're talking about economic power, political power. We're talking about also and also power within the family, but political power and also economical power. You cannot like skip over those parts and just go straight to the family.
Yeah, but
Uh,
that what when you talking about matriarch and a patriarch, you talking
we're
about a
not
family.
talking about matriarchy and patriarchy. We're only talking about patriarchy.
Yeah, but I'm saying in general though, like outside of that, we talking about white supremacy. A patriarchy is a study in sociology and anthropology that's dealing with a family structure and how the system is set up, like the family dynamics. So and how like the social structure of that community functions. So anytime you talk about like any sort of patriarch or anything of that nature, we talking about family. The
or
Mm,
political
govern
system
or
that
a
becomes white
governing group
supremacy.
of people.
I don't know if I agree to that.
Well, once we
It
get
would be
into
both.
like,
You
Yeah, yeah.
well,
I
yeah,
do think it's a combination of both. I don't think it's one over the other, but my man Darkseid been hitting this shit from the relationship POV all live, you know.
yeah,
Yeah.
can I answer
Uh
the question?
go ahead, brother.
Yeah, how's everybody? First piece to the panel. More Fiend. Shout out to the Titan Debate League. Um, the panel. My answer to the first question is yes, black men do still benefit from patriarchy, but not the same way that white men do, and not in the same way that erases racism, class pressure, or state violence. A black man can be disadvantaged racially and still advantaged by maleness. Those two things are not mutually exclusive. So if the question is simply yes or no, my answer is yes. Now, on relationships, I wouldn't say that black men always have more power in some total sense, because I would say more that the situation is uneven. In a patriarchal society, men are still often granted more presumptuous leadership, more freedom to be difficult, more sexual latitude, more room to fail without being judged the same way, and more social permission to center themselves. And that's the real thing. At the same time, black women often carry enormous economic, emotional, and domestic burdens, which means actual day-to-day power in a relationship can be more complicated than the old man is the head language suggests. So yeah, black men still benefit from it today in relationships. They may not always hold more actual power in every case, but they're the protectors. So
All right, I got a question for you, Quantum. Do you genuinely agree with that?
Is that humble talking?
Yes, ma'am.
All right.
do I genuinely agree with what I just said?
Yes.
Yeah.
Okay.
yeah, I
You gotta
definitely.
put some energy behind that, brother. You
Yeah,
gotta
I
Well,
think that was
agree with that. You gotta,
well,
man.
my
Put
a,
feet on
my
the
voice,
ground.
I got like a frog in my throat, man. I didn't want to cough and start coughing and stuff. So I was trying to stay cool. You know how my breath is.
Hey, my man, say I'm trying to be a cool Samaritan.
Welcome Moody White. Yo, I'm so happy to have you on here because Moody White ain't been on my panel since me and fucking Timotheus had a panel. So I am so happy to have you on here, brother. Um, same question. Do you
Thanks for
think
having
black
me. Thanks for having me.
we in our third segment, we went through the past, brother. We went through the past. I don't know if you can hear me. Let me turn my mic up. We went through the
Yeah, I
past
hear you.
of patriarchy. When it comes to the definition, I had the guys define that shit for me before I dove deep into this, and then I started asking questions for there. And I want y'all to understand that all these questions are footnotes to each the question before. You know, so the question we at now is we're walking into the modern day. We're in the benefits or illusion part of the show, and the question is: do black men benefit from patriarchy today? Yes or no? It's a double loaded question. And in relationships, do black men have more power, less power, or just different expectations?
Okay, for the first part of your question, peace to the panel. First of all, how's everybody doing today? If you can hear me, say something.
Yeah, we got you. Your audio is good.
Yeah, yeah, you
I
We
don't
fine.
look
look
like
good.
Philip Bailey.
What's up, Tim? How you doing, bro? You look like a young Phil Bailey, bro. I'm telling you, bro.
Right.
Yeah, but yeah, the first part of your question is the world is patriarchal. It just is what it is. That's the reason why. That's the reason why we have such advanced societies. That's the reason why we have all the technological advancements, the monetary advancements, because the world is patriarchal. Men have a tendency to fight, defend, and progress the world for what he loves, and we love women and children. So it just is what it is. Yes, the world is patriarchal. Now, as far as are black men patriarchal in American society, to a certain extent, we are. But you also have to remember there's a dominance hierarchy here that exists here in the United States. And we just happen to not be at the top of that dominance hierarchy. Although we do share in some of the patriarchal, what would it be called? The the uh, the remnants of it, but we don't actually benefit from it. Now, what was the second part of your question, sis?
It's a question that I want to go back to before I get to the second part of this question because you hit on some points, and I
Hmm.
don't want you to lose your train of thought. There was a question I want to go back to. Do you think systems like Jim Crow weaken or reaffirm male authority in the black communities? And then I will get to my second part
Well, it
of the
absolutely
question.
it absolutely weakened male authority. That goes back to the dominance hierarchy that I was speaking
Right,
of.
right, right.
What,
That's why
what,
I said I gotta ask you that question.
yeah, when you have a society where that's multicultural, and one particular society is on top, I mean, one particular group of people is on top, yes, there's always going to be where a group doesn't benefit totally from the patriarchal system. And if the society was the same culture, if the society was what they call a heterogeneous, if it was a heterogeneous society, we would still see this, but in it would play out in class. And when you don't go to different cultures that the people are the same within that society, you still see the same thing, and it breaks down into class. Our society is just not a class breakdown, it also has a racial element as well.
Okay, okay, okay. I like how you doing
Can I
this.
can I say something really quickly
Go
to
ahead,
one
Queen. Go ahead,
thing?
Queen. I need somebody to go on mute. Moody, that's you.
Yeah, that's me.
Yeah, I wanted to say to like just one big thing that kind of happens all the time when we're in these kind of conversations is that people feel as though because women have been taken out of politics, taken out of institutions to that has to do with knowledge and education, that somehow if those things it did build the world, but to say as though that it was a man's like role to build the world, and I just don't believe that's true, right? Because of the situation that you literally put us in, you made it so that we were excluded from these spaces. We Kemet didn't exclude people, and they were building pyramids and had all types of technology and was doing surgeries with the equality of men and women, and men and women working together. So to kind of like frame the world being built on the reverence of men when really y'all ostracize the women, right? That will be kind of a that will be a false equivalence. And there's no way to say that if y'all didn't do all of those things, that we wouldn't still be here and beyond this type of technology by not enforcing women to not be able to be inside of politics and all of these other things that y'all did. So just like I don't know, I just feel like that was like a little chauvinistic, and it's a thing that's kind of perpetuated within our community and throughout the world, that like, yeah, men built the world because, you know, we were stronger. Nah, because y'all excluded women. That's why y'all built the world.
Well,
I
I
land.
get where you're coming from,
well, let
sis,
me say
but
this
uh,
just
real quick, Mugabe.
just to
So I
clear
get
the
where sis,
air.
I get
Go
where
ahead.
sis is coming from, but not even being like on looking at it from a framework of being sexist or any of that. It's just what it is. Like men literally are stronger. We were the ones lifting the trees to build houses. We were the ones building the you know just everything. We were the ones doing that, literally doing the heavy lifting. So it's not that I understand and I get what you're saying, that it does get used and framed as a flex, but that doesn't negate the fact of the actual biological reality of it.
Can we say
Right,
that
but
when
it,
we're talking about building America, or when it comes down to patriarchy, I like to limit things so people don't got a wide spectrum, so they could attach an idea to shit that it doesn't apply to. You know, so when we're talking about men building America, black men building America at that, are we saying y'all built this shit by yourselves? And we know you didn't. But we're talking about slavery and things like that, Jim Crow and things, and after the emancipation, are we really saying that y'all niggas did this shit by yourselves? No, y'all didn't. We did this together. Like, we're the only race that did it together. You do know that, right?
exactly. And that goes again to the exclusion part that I was talking about. You don't get to exclude a group of people from doing things and then be like, ha ha ha, I did everything. Yeah, because you made it so. You made it so I couldn't do anything. But if you look at the inception of humanity, homes and storehouses, go to indigenous Africa. Usually they're built and tended by women. So you can't say that men just be building the homes when in all reality the first homes was built by us. So it's like
Agriculture
I got
belongs
some
we
to us
pushback
all.
against that too. See, the thing I got
sure.
with women when it comes down to this conversation is that we're framing the way that I frame this, right? Is so we can look at patriarchy for black people in a different framework. Work. So we're not looking at this from a whitewashed framework. What the fuck did black men stop us from doing?
I
Nothing. They
just
ain't had the. They
I
didn't
gave
have
you
the
a whole
power.
list.
They didn't have the
They
power.
did have the power though.
They
That's
didn't have.
why
They didn't.
Spellman
They
was
didn't.
created.
They didn't.
Hold
They didn't.
on.
But we
That's
got
how
to no, no.
Spellman
Hear me
was
out. Hear me out.
created.
Hear me out. Sis, hear me out. Hear me out. And my Philly voice, hear me out. So they didn't have the power to do shit like that, because if you want to apply what you're saying in your logic, which I do agree in a certain way, it's different. I don't agree in the way that you're applying it. I agree in a different way. If you want to apply that shit to misogynoir, then yes, we can apply it there because that's where it fits. But misogyny, no, they ain't had the power for that shit.
I'm not talking about misogyny though. I
Uh,
could care less how men feel about women because that's really is talking about a hatred of women. What
uh,
I'm talking about is a power structure. So if
that is
black
built
men
off
didn't have,
of a
hold
hatred of
on, hold
women.
on. What?
That was built off of a little bit of hatred of women.
But I'm
Just
not
just
talking
tiny.
about the hatred of women
The
at all.
patriarchy is built on a lot of bit of hatred
I
of
don't
women.
believe that. I don't believe that. So
White
that would be
in America, yeah. It's
that would be
subsequent. If you
subjective
go
because that would
to
be
Middle
subjective
Eastern,
because
yeah.
patriarchy is
If you
older
go
than
to
America.
China, yeah, that's how it's kind of pretty
But
much.
patriarchy is older than these things. Right? You get patriarchy all going all the way
And
back
the hatred for
to
women is
early
old as fuck as
Mesopotamia.
well.
Real
Okay,
So you
quick,
so
get
real
that going
quick,
all the way back to
everybody.
power. I just wanna be able to finish my sentence.
Peace
Go
is
ahead.
wait, real quick. If you're loving this action tomorrow, 8 p.m., you can catch It's a Queen debating this topic. Power. Who has it? Who controls it? And who does the Bible give it
Yeah.
to? Welcome to the Coliseum of Arguments presented by
Hey,
Titans
we
Debate
can't see
League.
nothing on
This is
screen,
not
bro.
for the weak minded. This is not for the
On your
easily
browser tab.
offended. This is a battle for truth. In one corner, it's a queen, bold, unapologetic, challenging the system, arguing that the
Oh
Bible
no, it's
strips
Candace.
power
You need to
from
stop
women.
playing with them
In
kids.
the opposing corner, Gideon
Yeah, it's
Yisrael,
playing on.
firm, disciplined, standing on scripture, defending the Bible as order, structure, and divine design. The question: does the Bible take power from women? Belief versus resistance, tradition versus challenge, scripture versus interpretation. No dodging, no soft takes, just raw intellectual combat. Who stands strong and who gets exposed? Step into the arena and witness it live. Coliseum of Arguments. Only the brave speak here. Are you not entertained?
Mhm.
Yes, yes, and that debate is members only. You're going to have to be a member for $3.99 to get a bite of that. $3.99 gets you access to up to 4 exhibition debates a month. Attention, all debate fans. You've been watching, you've been arguing, you've been
Hey,
picking
one,
sides. But
we
now it's
can't
time
see
to
it on the
level up.
main
From
screen,
this
Brody.
point forward, all debates on this platform are going members only. That means the
I can see it. I don't know if y'all can see it.
attention, all.
You just
Yeah,
had it.
let's see. Queen, that's who's on right now, ain't it? Am I
Yep.
tripping?
Yeah,
Yep.
that's her.
It's a
That's
queen.
the one and only.
What was that debate title? I didn't see it.
Power. Who has it?
We're
Who
debating if the
controls it? And
Bible
who
took
does the
away power
Bible
from
give it
women.
to?
That's the power. Does the Bible take power away from women?
Oh, Gideon.
Lisa, if we
Oh my
wasn't
God.
talking about what we talking about now, baby, I would we will be here saying. I like that
Yeah,
too.
he a New Testament. Yeah, he
And the
tripping.
bar, we're definitely betting on that. Yes. We definitely gonna take that bet. All right, let's move along. Let's move along. Let's move along. Let's move along. Let's do it. Let's do it. Let's go to segment 4. Accountability and contradictions. I'm sorry. This is accountability and contradictions. This has nothing to do with black men, just with about patriarchy in itself. We're gonna do some self-reflection. We're going to challenge some hypocrisies in this situation. First question: where have black men benefited from male privilege? Be honest.
In the business
Where
world,
Well,
have
for one, black men outnumber black women in the business world. There are more black men in positions of CEO or household big companies, while black women are in positions of higher management, but never all the way to the top. So that's one example of where black men have benefited from just being in the boys' club.
Sports, entertainment, sports, the
Real
most.
fast, if I can. Do y'all call hand-me-downs a benefit? Right? So being where the white man used to be and just replacing that with the black man, is that more so like, oh well, yeah, and now we got, now it's the uprising of the black woman, and now we got to fit her in there, and now it's like, oh yeah, well, men got more power in business than women, when for a long time it was just white men and black men. You see what I'm saying? Just like Quantum was just saying in sports, right? When Bill Russell and them, when those Dr. J, when they got into the NBA, they was getting paid worse than what the women of today's NBA is getting paid. So now we see LeBron James getting Luke Walton type money, and we see Angel Reese getting Dr. J type money, now we say, oh, well, the black man got a benefit. But no, the black man just got a hand-me-down. And we had
But
to make
even
room for the black woman because she wasn't hooping back then.
because it wasn't allowed though. See, this is the
Right.
part that I keep on trying to express. When you are able to do things that another group is not able to do, you are benefiting. No matter if you feel like it's a crumb of benefit or if it's a whole pizza pie of benefit, it is what it is. And it's the same thing when, with the right to vote, right? After what was it? After slavery 1869 hit, black women didn't get the right to vote. Black men did because you were a man with a penis and they only valued men with penises. So you can't just keep on, because it does undermine the fact that women are being excluded when every time we're saying, hey, we're being excluded. And then you say, well, the white man is really excluding all of us. So who's really, it's like, nah, he's giving you a seat
But
sometimes.
that,
Yeah, I
but
think
And I
what
that's
you're
gotta
the point
speaking to is
constantly
the
fight for mine.
Kimbo said.
And
I
especially
think
if
what
we're
you,
not creating our own spaces. And then when we
Hmm.
do create our own spaces, we find that sometimes black men exclude black women from those spaces.
Now that I
yeah,
won't disagree with, but I want to
yeah.
go back really fast to what Sister Issa Queen was saying earlier, right? And that's the important part, and that's why I keep saying go back to the title of patriarchy, right? Anybody that's given any type of anything is the ruling patriarchy of whatever's going on. And so
That's a vague ass description or
No, but
here's what
definition
I'm
or
saying. So here's what I'm
but
whatever
what
saying.
you
she's
want to put that
referring
in.
to though is intersectionality. Right,
Right,
that's a
right.
which is a term coined by Kimberly Crenshaw, and so you can't whenever you speak of that's why she's mentioning the benefit because there is levels to how people are affected by by white supremacy.
Fact.
Exactly. Exactly. And that's what I'm saying here. If the person who's on top of everything is the one handing out things, right? We can say in one mind that, oh, well, the black man benefited from blah, 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 right? But if he's not even
Well, no, you made your point in the first statement that you made, son. Listen,
oh,
you said
oh,
that if the person is not if the person is handing out things, right?
mhm,
And they could say, all right, listen, I'm the patriarch. I am the giver. I am the resource.
they are,
But
yes,
what your argument is that black men wasn't always the resource, which is my argument as well with
yeah,
Queen. Like black men wasn't always the resource. They made it illegal for black men to be the at least the only resource. So
right.
that's just gonna be
I mean,
my rebuttal to any of that type of argument, no matter how you want to frame that shit. Because I know I got real debaters on here, and y'all like to frame shit different ways, and I'm just not gonna do that with you.
I
No,
It's
and
not,
No,
it's
don't
not,
do it
it's
like
not
that.
about
I
being
think
a real
about
debater or not. It's literally
right.
about being honest about what the history is telling you. If
Mhm.
when we're talking about a benefit, something that gives you a upper hand in things, and it's going to one side of the gender, and that gender is taking the benefit, because be very clear, it will be a different conversation if the men didn't take the jobs. If the men said, you know what, I don't want the right to vote until my girl get the right to vote too. That would be something different, but
Like
that's
how we
not
do.
what happened. What happened
Yep.
was, I'm going to take that right and you're not going to have it for another, what, 30, 40 years? So
They
I
also
think
I
that
get you,
we
girl.
got
I
to
don't
be
got
No,
nothing to
very
say.
but
Like
but
she
clear
hold on
right.
of
one
what
second.
I'm
Hold on
talking
one second.
about
Hold
when
on
I'm
one second.
saying that somebody's taking
Hold on
a
one second.
benefit,
Hold on one second.
because you are. It is a little bit of a privilege, and that's the point of patriarchy. Yes, it
Queen, I'm
intersects
not
with
arguing with
To
you.
racism.
be
You
int
making your
to
point. You
be
making your point. I just
to
needed
be
you to say that
intellectually
shit
honest,
loud. Say what you
can I
got to
speak?
say. Go ahead. Go ahead.
Can I speak now, please? Thank you. To be intellectually honest about the whole
women not allowed to vote thing. Here's the deal. Up until recently, and by recently I mean like uh, uh, 1970s, most women were married. Period. You could very rarely find a single woman. Why is that important? That's important because that one particular vote, that male vote, actually represented the entire household. That's what that vote. That's what that vote represented. But now that we have this women's liberation and we have a plethora of single women out here, it doesn't make sense anymore. So for you to frame women not being able to vote based off a 2026 mentality is completely intellectually dishonest. That's just what it is, sis. Now, to also go into something else,
Ooh,
you
can I
mentioned
please respond to that?
You just
you
proved
you
your
Well,
point.
also you
Absolutely.
also you also mentioned that in history that that ancient civilizations were somehow egalitarian, and nothing could be further from the truth, sis. For the duration of human history, men have always you would be hard pressed to find a culture where the women were in charge or the women provided the equal amount of work across the board as the men, except for during the transatlantic slave trade. Now, the reason why that's important is this. Even then, it wasn't equal. Why? Because black male bodies were more valuable than black female bodies. Why were they? Because they needed equipment, which was us, to till the
Didn't they
crops, to
bring
take
more
care of the
women?
crops. This is why we saw the average black male body would go for as much as $1,000, and the female body would go for 300 or 400 in some cases. So please,
I
sis,
thought that's
don't.
because they brought more women than they did
They
men.
did
So
not
the
bring more
Exactly.
women
men
than
was
men.
And wait,
They
hold
did
on. Can
not
I
bring more.
respond to him, please,
Okay, one
before
second,
y'all
one
go
second.
into a back and forth?
Okay, right.
Yes.
Hold on,
Go
hold
ahead,
on. I'll
because
give
that was
I'll
a
give you a
complete
second.
policy.
Right, right. These things that I'm saying are documented facts. This
Mm-hmm.
isn't what I'm thinking about. This isn't something I'm pulling out of my ass. Everything I've said, you can literally look it up, and it can validate what I'm saying. But go ahead,
Okay.
sis.
So, first, you're wrong about how egalitarian societies were the foundation of humanity, right? Because what you're talking about is things that happened after agriculture, and agriculture is only 50,000 years. How long is that? Like, yeah, about 50,000 years old. And when we as a species, Homo sapiens, have been here for over 300,000, according to Jabril Arud, right? And in Jabril Harud, and this is how we know, right? These societies were actually egalitarian is by the burial site and how people are buried. The way when you see later on when you live in a hierarchy system, people with a lot of money get a lot of different pieces in their burials. They get shells, they get ivory, they get jewels and things like that. But before that, they will all be buried the same exact ways. The same toolkits that you will find on a man, you will find on a woman. The same hunting kits that you will find on a man, you will find on a woman. And you can find this all the way up until what America, with the 9,000-year-old hunter woman that they found in Peru, I believe. So this idea that it's always been patriarchy is because you're coming from a biblical standpoint, or at least a patriarchal standpoint. Because be very clear, right? The patriarchy and that father and that patar, all of those, that linguistics comes from out of Northern Europe. You don't even find that linguistics inside of Africa. So that's first, right? And then secondly, you was talking about the right to vote and the father having the right over the entire household. I, as a woman, am a human being that is grown and can be able to participate in politics outside of what my husband thinks and feels. And this is how patriarchy plays in the household, because we have curvature laws that were in America that came from Europe that says that I get absorbed under your tutelage. If I had a different idea of who we should vote for, we will automatically go for who you voted for because you're the head of household. Therefore, undergoing how I feel politically. And that's not a human right. Everybody deserves their human rights to vote. And that's why women were afforded the human right to vote. So I think that what we confuse is what has been and what has always been. What has been since writing and Mesopotamia is a patrilineal rule that kind of pushed over all of everything else. But that's not the only rulership. And if you want, um you can go to, hold on, I could get the book for you for the people that are confused. Because I think that people don't go into the history of humanity. They only go into the history of when people started writing in Mesopotamia and when they started to come about. But if you go before that, there's an egalitarian society happening there. But give me 1 second so I can get the book for you.
One thing I just want to add when it came to voting, when that passed back in 18, I forget what it is, the late 1800s. At that time, only men were allowed to fight in the military, and that was a condition of the right to vote is signing up for selective services and volunteering to fight in a war should one happen, and that still applies today. Even though women have the right to vote,
I,
they are not obligated to sign up for selective services.
I got a question really fast. Anybody can answer. Black men got the right to vote before white women. Do that mean that black men during those times had more power than white women?
Yes, that was the
Yeah.
argument that the white women were making because black men were getting political power before they did. And in their mind, they were animals. That was the whole argument at Seneca Falls, right? And not only did the white women have that argument, my girl Sojourner Truth actually said if you give the black man the right to vote over the black women, there will be a new class system where black women are at the bottom. That's what she said.
Which is why W.E.B. Du Bois said, if you solve the black woman's problem, you solve everyone's problem.
Exactly, brother.
So just let the white man keep running it. Don't nobody vote. Let them keep voting. They didn't give a damn about us no way. Yeah, that would have been working. That would have worked.
You must not have seen my debate last night.
I was
I don't
about
know
to say,
about
who
that.
about to say something about his debate?
It's absurd
That
to,
was
to
so, that was
it's absurd.
crazy.
It's absurd for everybody to be as intellectual as we are and to say that the black man is the one keeping the black woman down when we know the white man is the one that told us that we had the power. We can't say nothing about that. Even if we wanted to, like they wanted their wives to, they wasn't gonna get it and they was gonna let their wives get it, even if we wanted to. So you can't say that we didn't want to just like they did. Everybody
Do
wanted
you think that
everybody to
black
vote.
men don't
This
do that though?
I know that they what wait, let me see what you said. What you mean think make black men don't do
But the
what?
key issues
And I
with
don't think,
what
and I
Hold on.
don't
Let me
think
black
the
answer that
women
women
question.
have with
understand the
Hold on.
us
Let me
is
answer
spectrum.
how we
somebody's question.
treated.
Somebody asked me a question. Do I think the black men don't do what?
Like, do you think that they don't, in some ways, contribute to the black women being at the
Yeah,
bottom?
not purposefully. They because the people at the top don't care about nobody else. So we don't make no vote. When they voted for black men to vote, black men didn't vote. It was white men in the House and the Senate. What do y'all mean? Like that's
Okay, so
absurd.
this is my thing. This is my thing. I've had many panels where misogynoir has come up, and it is dealing with the fact that black women have these problems dealing with the fact that they're a woman and the fact that they're black. And it has always been black men trying to tell us that we don't have separate problems.
I disagree
And
with
why
that.
do
The
they
white
have to fight for us? Why would they have to do that, right? Where we're looking for, because a male voice would 100% put our problems on the forefront. A male voice would 100% help black women here, but black men don't look at that like that. They don't have to.
I don't agree with that because I'm a black man. You see, in my philosophy, I got father time and mother nature. I opened both my
I
eyes. I
know.
understand we have to look through the lens of both of them. It was a patriarchal world because they was looking.
I'm I'm
Oh,
going to
I'm
go
sorry.
into my next question
The zoo.
because I don't know if you know how my shows go, but we're reaching into that 154 mark, and I do not like 2 hour shows. So we're going to go into our last question, and then I'm gonna end my show after that. I'm gonna let you guys give y'all last remarks and then shout out where you guys are from and things like that, your platforms and things of that nature, and then we're gonna go close out. But this is going to be another loaded question. I'm gonna give the panel a chance to answer this question and ask each other questions. So, do black men weaponize patriarchy language when it benefits them? And are black men expected to lead without being empowered to lead?
I answer that. I think that every black man, if he had a woman with him, he'd want her to have the same power as he would, especially right now today. Back in the past, uh, we was in a system. We had constraints of somebody over us. If it seemed that we were constraining somebody under us, that's the way it's supposed to look, because the people on top don't want you to argue at them. They want to divide our families, and for people to point the blame at these people when you know that these people don't even have no power to even do what they doing. When they doing it, they doing what they do because somebody give them the power to do that. So to say that it's somebody giving them power to do that, and then you say that they're the ones that's holding you down, that's absurd. Everybody knows that the black man want the black woman to be right there with him at all times. I have always wanted a woman there. Like I said, and I think everybody understand that the patriarchy came from the white men. We only lived in that system. That's why it looked like we was forced in that, but we was forced to do that. You know that everybody knows this, and I land over here in this tree.
Can I? Oh my goodness. Uh, I think that was Honey that was speaking earlier. I'm sorry if that wasn't you, sis. But I like the line of questioning that you had because it's like there's a piece of accountability that is just missing within that the statements of these men, right? When you say that the system was a patriarchy and then you maneuvered within the patriarchy and you know the patriarchy harms women, in that sense you are harming women. That you can't get out of that just because you know that was the system that we were in, because we did have our own spaces as well, and in those own spaces, and I'm not saying all, so we got to get out of this idea of every time we're talking about patriarchy that we're talking about all men. We're not talking about all men. We're talking about the specific men that absolutely wielded those powers, like those men at Howard that refused to let women refuse to let women study as lawyers. That is a systematic breakdown and an exclusion of women. And they didn't have to do that. You know how I know they didn't have to do that? Because Spelman was created right after that. So these schools were able to be met. So I think that we gotta be okay with the fact that, you know, some of our grandparents absolutely fell for the patriarchy hype of the society that they lived in. And not all of them did that, right? Because Ida B. Wells' husband, he helped her build her newspaper, build a black the starting of Black Chicago, right? There's Frederick Douglass was in those women's societies, right? These black men and black women were working together. And even when the black man got his vote before the black woman said, listen, I'm cool with y'all as long as y'all help us get ours too. And for some strange reason, it's like now we're acting like we have blinders to what is the issues going on with women, and then it's all just a race thing. And there's too many books out there that tells you differently. I'll land there.
Fellas, do you want to chime into what have black men benefit from um male privilege, honestly, and do black men weaponize I'm sorry. Do black men weaponize patriarchy language when it benefits them? And are black men expected to lead without being empowered to lead? That's the question.
That's a red.
It's a double loaded question. It's two questions in one.
Well, I know what it's going after.
I guess I'll answer first. Um, I have witnessed a lot of men using patriarchal language when it benefits them. Um, and I will say that there are some men who are expected to lead who, they just don't have the foundations to lead. And it's not their fault. It just wasn't instilled in them, or, they just wasn't around anybody who taught them how to be a leader. I land my plane with that, y'all.
Yeah, I think patriarchy has changed how we even view leadership. Um, I think whoever is most qualified to do the job is who's supposed to do the job. Um, you got people. I think patriarchy changes the way that we view people in general and they value. So if you're somebody that's a woman and you might be more aggressive or dominant in energy, and then you have a male that might be more I don't know, less, not as aggressive, more submissive energy, I guess. The value and the view of them is usually challenged. Um, and I think even in patriarchy, you see it even pop up. Even in the homosexual community, where on one end, they supposedly are not for patriarchy, but you see both people jump right into roles typically of what they believe a patriarchy should look like. So a lot of times you have one person that will take the role of what they believe a man should look like, and then another person to take the role of what they believe a woman should look like. And a lot of times that's based off of still upholding the same thing that patriarchy says. Your values are set on what you can protect, what you can provide, and how many women you can conquer.
Okay, anybody else? Timothy is Moody Y. One of y'all two. Oh, hold on, wait. Who is this No Love Drew? No Love Drew. How you doing?
Can
That
he?
was that was him just talking.
Oh, that was you.
No, and that was blue. But said his
Oh, that was
mic was
Blue talking.
frozen.
Oh, oh, I
He
thought that
wrote it
was
in the chat. It
Blue
says
talking.
mic frozen.
No,
No
we can't
love, we
hear you,
can't hear
Drew.
you.
I can hear
If
you.
you're on a
Say something.
computer,
Oh,
press
He
the
like
little mic button probably, because that's what sometimes happen on my computer.
he say so, he'll go off of mute and he'll say something and then I hear him and then next thing you know I don't hear him no more.
probably have to leave out and come back, Drew.
Well, I think that black men could lead if they went to school and got educated and learned some shit. They would learn how to lead. Because we don't want you to lead us to hell. We want you to lead us, somewhere successful. But that means you got to have vision and know what that looks like. And if you've never researched what that look like or know what it looks like, then you won't know how to lead somebody there, right? And so sometimes we do take men who don't have that and expect it from them. And even though we're not cultivating that, the woman isn't nurturing that in him. We just expect him to have it. And so then when you get let down, y'all both kind of let each other down. And do they use patriarchal language? Of course. Look at the red pill. When they're allowed to leave homes and leave children, but then blame women for the state of society, that's patriarchal. That you're
Mhm.
allowed to do that. You know what I'm saying? That's you using your platform, using the well, boys gonna be boys and can do that, and you can't. Well, why are you acting sexually free? You a hoe, and you need to take care of your responsibilities, but I don't. And if it's a problem, it's still on you. That's the patriarchal society.
I agree with everything she just said, like with the red pill weaponizing it. So that's to answer your question. That do they men use it and weaponize it? Yes. But then she said something that also caught my attention. She said that women expect men to lead. Isn't that perpetuating the patriarchy?
See, it's always a dispute. No, look,
We're not
it's,
changing this into a woman versus men
I
fucking
hate that.
thing.
I
We're
hate
not
that.
doing that. We're just talking about it's just about
No,
what
I'm
men
not
think.
trying to do women versus
Yeah,
men.
because I'm not saying
I
that
just
women
made my
always
statement.
do, but we do put them in
I'm
that
not trying to
position.
start.
Because she
I'm
was
not trying to
asking, do
start
we
it.
put them in a position and then like put the expect something out of them that we're not allowing them to do, and some women do.
Yeah,
Right.
and don't get me wrong, I agree with Issa and Honey. Like it is the patriarchal and the black man historically hasn't performed well, but us knowing now what we should and need to do, we have to take that and take accountability in how we work that so our black women won't be saying that we that because all they got is the historical reference of what to reference us from. So I can't knock Issa and Honey. I have a different mind state and I know how I've acted and how men in my life, my fathers and uncles and stuff have been toward women. I ain't saying that it's always been perfect. I ain't saying that I don't know the atrocities that do happen, but it happens on both sides. But I know that there was constraints at first in the way that things travel, news, the way that power traveled. We were stuck in a box. We gotta get up out of it though. And I land there.
I like
I
quantum.
like
He
that.
be having good
I like
answers.
that. I like that. That'd be like really supreme answers on this one. Anybody else before I close it out? Anybody?
Moody Wog,
Before
drop your little chauvinism before we hang up.
I
Well, you
do.
already know how I feel, bro. It's like it's plain and simple. You're not mad at chauvinism when I'm opening the door for you. You're not mad at chauvinism when I'm pulling out a chair for you. You're not mad at the patriarchy when I'm opening the door for you. You're not mad at the patriarchy when I'm pulling out a chair for you. You're not mad at the patriarchy when I'm paying the bills. You're not mad at the patriarchy when I'm going to go check on what that bump was in the night. You're not mad at the patriarchy when I'm defending your honor out in the streets. You're not mad at the patriarchy on any other level. See, you want conditional patriarchy, ladies, and it don't work like that. Men are going to be men regardless. You don't get to frame how men behave. It's not going to ever happen. And I mean that with love. I don't mean it in any form of disrespect. I'm saying this with love, ladies. You don't have the right or the latitude to tell men how to be men. And I land the plane.
Hold
I
on. When
want to
you
know
say
who on here was mad
latitude,
at
what does that
patriarchy.
mean? What does that mean when you say
I
the
just
latitude?
I want to understand what
Hey,
do these
what
things
is
have to
that?
do with the
Yeah, what does
patriarchy?
that mean? Break that one little part down
Nobody
for me,
said
Moody
they was
Well.
mad at the patriarchy. Like, what, are we mad at
Yeah,
you? Like, what are you talking about?
I
I
like what he
think
said
this.
though. He was cooking.
I
He
mean,
was he was
keeping.
cooking something. I don't know if we was ready to
He
eat
wasn't
that shit.
cooking. I don't know what he was doing.
I was
He
about
was
to
Yeah,
say,
cooking.
I think when you on a
I feel like the
team,
brother burnt it, but that's just me.
yeah,
Um,
yeah, I think
at
in
the
theory
end of
though
the
it
Don't
day,
do
sounds
that to
good.
brother Moody
like
Don't
at
do
the
that to
end of
brother
the
Moody
day, y'all confuse men behavior with patriarchy. Patriarchy is a political system that excludes women out of the system.
It's a
That has shit to
system.
do with
Yes.
opening up a door for somebody. That's you being a nice man. And I appreciate every door a man
That's what
held
I
for
was
me.
like. That's
I
manners.
appreciate right.
said
I
that's etiquette.
appreciate like when I say please and thank you. That has nothing to do with the matriarchy. That's just how my mama raised me. So we got to stop confusing what patriarchy is and what being a good man is and the black man's role in all of this. Right? Um I'm going to keep on reiterating not all the black men were like this, right? Just like, just like not all the black women wanted to work. Some of them wanted to stay home, right? Because people aren't a monolith. Some people just do what they want to do. So I'm never going to say that every black man back there was in our way because that would be a bull face lie, right? But I feel like today a lot of our black men have a skewed version of what feminism is, what that time is for women, because y'all really don't look up the history of black women in this country. Y'all know the history of black women in this country as it relates to you, not us on our own. And I land there.
Yeah. I mean, but did he not just show us? Like the panel itself shows different black men understanding women in different variations, right? And relating to women in different ways. Everybody on here is a misogynist. Everybody on here, you know what I'm saying, do isn't a chauvinist. Everybody on here isn't like that, right? So it shows different in, you know, how people view things, everything else. But what we were talking about you saying like, do they use the patriarchy? Like he definitely just did that because he came. Muduwa came on here and framed it as if women were upset at men. Women were upset at this. You asked, did they use it against us? And we were showing ways that they did. We didn't say that men just do that though.
Yeah, I think one of the things you'll learn is that like leading is something that comes natural. That's not something that's attached to a gender. That's something that comes natural. So if you've been on and not only that, that's also dictated by the situation. Because if you've been in different and I've been on teams where I've been the leader and I've been on teams where I had to be a role player. And on those teams, it didn't make me any less of a player. I understood that I could start in my own role. So I think some of the issues that we be having is people be trying to outshine each other. And they don't just do that amongst each other, they friends and family. They do that with their relationships as well. Like understand where your role is and and what you good at, and don't be trying to shoot jumpers in the corner when you know you ain't got no fucking jump shot. Like, let somebody else shoot the ball. If she got a better jumper than you, it's okay to pass. Like, it's okay to pass.
Dang, yeah. What you just touched on, I feel like needs to be
He cooking.
its whole own podcast. The competition between the genders.
Um, mm,
Mm,
mm.
hmm
The whole problem is the idea of a competition of the genders, because because the sister was saying that patriarchy is a political system, but it also has a lot to do with society because it shapes social norms. It wasn't women that said this is crude and you should wear a skirt that goes down past your knees. It was men that said that normalized that. It was men that said don't have your shoulders out and the crop top is trash. It was men that said that. So there is patriarchal elements within society as well, not just from a political standpoint.
Let me ask you a question, Tim. Don't you think that well, I'm just speaking about dress codes. Don't you think that form of patriarchy not only does it keep women safe, it also keeps men safe that love that woman because he doesn't have to protect. Not to, we all know that there are some really fucked up men out here. Excuse my language. Where there's some perverts out here. There's men that will take advantage of women. There's men that do crazy shit. Now, if a woman is dressed in a certain manner, if she goes out in public. Not saying that a man has a right to do or say anything to her, but if a man does, who is supposed to have her back? The man that she loves or the man that she's with. Now, to prevent that, what do? We practice a little bit of modesty. That's all it is. So we can't say that we can't just be willy nilly with how you dress. To give you an example, and some people might understand this, I'm from Los Angeles. It's a huge gang culture. If you're not a gang member, you don't wear gang colors. And if you happen to wear gang colors and be in certain areas, you gotta kind of expect what goes along with that. It just is what it is. And I said that to say this: we can't pretend like we live in a perfect world where women can just be free and just skip around and do what they want to do. Yes, there are some very evil men out there, and they need to be, and women need to be protected from these evil men. And guess who? 9 times out of 10 have to take up the charge to protect them. It's not the children. It's not the elderly. It's not other women. Who is it? It's us bad guy men. It's us, the patriarchy. It's the ones that y'all say, oh, we don't want to do that no more. We don't want to listen to y'all no more. We want to be our own individuals. Come on, ladies, you can't have it. You
So
can't
you're
have it
victim
both
blaming?
ways.
No, no,
You
Yo,
just
the
no,
can't.
no,
That's
chauvinism
no,
goes
no, no.
that's Muda.
Mudawa,
crazy.
I gotta disagree, Mudawa. Everybody, when they do things, the men out there, like you saying, that be doing stuff, they gonna do it whether a woman dressed or not. Them type of people. But it all comes down to the
Speak on it,
choices
Quantum.
that we all. It comes down to the choices that we make in the end. I don't care what
Thank
she
you,
wants. If
brother.
I don't want nothing, I ain't gonna do it. Just like if she don't want to wear them clothes, she don't have to. If she do, that's on her. And like you said, she know the consequences of what it can do. We don't have to worry about those consequences because life is more coherent now. With that being said, you just said like it's dudes that'll still go do it, but it's dudes that'll do it don't care about them clothes and stuff. So with that, with me knowing that, I know that it's just the choices that we make and the consequences that we have to bear. That don't make it not be objective or subjective. We know that it's wrong for anybody to impede themselves on somebody else. So when you doing that, I don't care what she did to make you think, oh, no, why you dressed like that? No, no, man. Them people making choices. We got to make right choices. If she make the choice to wear that, then the next choice comes down to the man who might be what they call tempted, and they want to blame it on the devil, but it ain't no devil. It's the
Yeah, because somebody passed out, bro. That ain't a goal. Because somebody naked, that don't mean they want to be touched. Like you in a strip club,
at
but
all.
there's limits to that. So you understand those limits clearly. So it ain't about how you dress, bro. It's what you like. Yeah, you can't be in a shit like that, like at all.
And can I give an example as well? Like if you have two children and one child is harming the other child, and you keep on moving the child being harmed, but the child that's harming is following the child, when do you correct the actual person doing harm instead of trying to relegate the person that's being harmed?
Speak, Queen.
Well,
Exactly.
you just literally described what I said. You literally did, sis. I
I did,
literally said the
and I
exact
think
same
how
thing.
I said it kind of went over your head because when
No,
you're
it didn't.
babysitting
It did.
children, hold
Hold on,
on,
sis. Hold on,
when
sis. Your analogy is spot on. Your analogy is spot on. You're saying that we should not victim blame, and I'm saying no, you should not victim blame. You should perpetrator blame. But
no,
I'm
that's not what
also
I'm talking about. I'm not
okay,
talking about victim blaming. What I'm
okay.
talking about is adjusting the behavior of one person that is being harmed to suit the person that is harming the person. So like when it's two children and one is being bad, you don't continuously punish the one that isn't. You punish the one that's being bad. So if there is a man that is harmful towards women, you don't change the dress code of the women. You protect her from the man. And it sounds
Yes,
like and it
it
sounds like sometimes y'all don't be wanting that smoke.
well
In all reality,
here's the deal. Here's the
Period.
deal, sis. Here here's
Oh,
here's the deal, sis. And I know that sounds good in the female mind. I know it sounds good in the female mind. You think you should be able to do, say, and behave any way you want to, and there's no consequences or repercussions. Yes, you can put on anything you want to, as little as you want to, or as much as you want to. But guess what? In the world we live in, as safe it is now, there is always consequences and repercussions. That's why I gave the gang banging analogy. The gang banging analogy frames it so maybe women can understand it a little bit better. If you come to LA and you wear certain gang colors and gang attire, you don't have to be a gang member. You will be approached because of the way you're dressed. And to avoid that, what should you do? See, men understand that. Like, man,
wait,
I want
hold
to
on.
let them
Before
niggas.
you kind of
Let me
go
finish.
into the tangent,
Can I
Let me
stop? Can
because
finish.
I
like,
stop?
Let me
Can I
finish.
stop both of you? Can I stop both
What's,
of you for a second? For a second. For
what's,
a second. Let me stop both of you. Hey, I want to end my show, but here's the thing. We also want to do an after show, so don't go nowhere. Just let me end this so we
all
can
right.
start a new one. Okay.
All
All
right.
right. Now, To end this show, everybody go around, shout out where your channel from, shout out your platform. We're gonna end this show. We're gonna start an after show after this. Don't move, but go around the board, shout out your shit.
It's
Oh,
blue.
maybe
I
go
wouldn't
first.
even bore y'all with my content. Trust me, it's boring. But yeah, blue. Appreciate y'all listening today.
Blue out the blue 40 on YouTube. Go check him out. God damn.
It's not
I'm
that hard.
Honey. I'm Honey. The bar reloaded. Check me out. Check everybody out on the panel. We all good. See y'all. I debate over here too. I'm about to win this other debate, and you're gonna see me debate again. But anyway, if you didn't see me debate, go check out the last debate because that was me versus Swap.
Okay, Timotheus, go shout out to every.
Right on. Timothy used the Average Black Man Show on YouTube at the Average Black Man Show. Come check us out. Even check out at more conversations with the Average Black Man. That's still up too. That page is still live. You can catch the reruns. You dig?
That part. Who else we got on here?
Yeah, it's your boy Oli. Man, thanks for having me. Thanks for coming over. You know where I'm at. I'm at the Titan Debate League. I'm glad to have this topic, and I'm gonna look you up so I can make sure I get more in on them topics because I like to talk about stuff like this. It's the man and the woman, man. It's father and mother. It's God and goddess, and we're gonna get more into that. Thank you.
I'm gonna go straight to the queen. Is shut shit out.
Yes. You can find me on Dula Concepts. That's on YouTube. You can find me here, Titans Debate League. I'm doing a debate tomorrow where I'm about to put belt to ass, which is going to be very fun. And I have another debate coming up next week that I will promote later on. But thank you for having me, and I'm definitely going to be looking for if you have a YouTube channel, can you put it in the back chat so I can find you on YouTube? Thank you. I love the conversation.
Brother Moody Wide. I don't know if you got it.
Yeah, no content, but thank you for having me.
That link to the after party is in the chat, so everybody can filter on over there. If you want to hit the panel, you can wait backstage.
I do got closing. I do have a closer.
Oh, go ahead. You can finish. I was just putting that out there.
Damn, I think I closed out my window by accident. Actually, I'll pull it up on my phone now. All right, so my closer is scroll down. Okay, so maybe the real question isn't whether black men benefit from patriarchy. Maybe it's whether they were fully included in it all. I don't know about that, but it seems like the conversation that we had today is on the lines whether they were fully included or not. This is more media where opinions clash and truths cuts through. In the more exchange with the all male panel. Thank you to my people that joined up. Stay tuned to the after show. Stay on the panel. Don't go nowhere. In the stream with my song, sir.
Gotcha. Okay. Why ain't it playing? Did y'all hear that? Fuck.
Get that money for your queen, bitch. Go take
Yeah, we hear it.
pop a split for a real bitch. Now spin the rounds, work on me a little bit. Now show the people why you came here, who you with. Yeah, that's my bottom bitch.
To walk in here, please come out to play. The queen is looking for a rookie that is down to stay. The game is sold and I told, so sign up today. Don't be playing playing with my money, bitch. Stay in your place, no check it. I want a thick bitch with some thick kids. Let's do gymnastics. Get nasty, cause Big Mama likes a freak bitch.
Don't talk back, get slapped back, we don't wanna hurt the bitch.
Don't bite the hand that feeds you, you be a hungry bitch. I'm slapping ass, gotta jiggle to stay. She already in his pockets, now she target the bank. So much paper, baby, we cutting up in the safe. Fuck around and find out I'm drinking hungry, now pay. Play it, they got your Molly, money falling out my pockets. That ass so fucking big, can't keep it in my wallet. I'm on a queen's salary, if ballin' is my hobby. I'll buy your girl too, put her ass up, she my bottom.
Get that money for your queen, bitch. Don't take a knee, pop a split for a real bitch. Now spin around, twerk on me a little bit. Now show them people why you came here and who you with. Yeah, that's my bottom.
Warrior Court, I need all ones cause I don't fuck with sluts. I need top-notch bitches for these top-notch riches. Only top-dollar dick to get these top-dollar digits.
They know what it is, pay for everything you touch. If you ain't doing it for me, then you ain't doing it for much.
Everybody go to the after party show. Get that link. Y'all can get off of this. Y'all can go over there.
If you can't command a dick, then truly, what the fuck would you come to me? Got more power than a dollar. Only bosses can follow. My whole crew stay ready. So if you ready, show me now.
They got your Molly, money falling out my pockets. That ass so fucking big, can't keep it in my wallet. I'm on a queen's salary, if ballin' is my hobby. I'll buy your girl too, put her ass up, she my bottom.
Get that money for your queen, bitch. Don't take a knee, pop a split for a real bitch. Now spin around, twerk on me a little bit. Now show them people why you came here and who you with. Yeah, that's my bottom bitch.
A1, drop that link so people can join that live.
Chocolate butter is her name on these streets.
MTC Beats.
Roll with me and live the life of luxury. Chocolate butter is her name on the streets. Bust it down and pop that pussy for some cheese. Roll with me and live the life of luxury.
And my two-seater, ride my diva, patrolling.